I had the opportunity to test different AIs, ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity, and recently DeepSeek. Impressive indeed, DeepSeek. And well, having already worked in artificial intelligence, I wasn't too surprised, though still fascinated by how natural language usage.
The LLM, is that it? The large language model.
Yes, exactly. It's very powerful, but one shouldn't fall into the myth. Artificial intelligence seems to be intelligent, undeniably, but it's the intelligence of the mind, the intelligence of words. There is a risk of confusion between words and thought. That is also a societal problem because academically, I would say we almost maintain this confusion.
What exactly do you mean by the confusion between words and thoughts?
Reducing thought to language is something extremely reductive and makes us forget the essence of true intelligence, which is the ability to make choices. Because true intelligence, by definition, is intelligence linked to the faculty of adaptability. Who says adaptability means the ability to make the best choices? But no artificial intelligence. It is not capable of making choices. In fact, that is exactly what I wanted to tell you. Having tested different types of AI, we realized that AI is perfect for providing us with the different possible interpretations, the different possible choices, but in no way does AI make choices. It might tell you that such a viewpoint is the most consensual and that another viewpoint is marginal, but it will not take a position. So, of course, we can develop algorithms lead the artificial intelligence to take a position, but it is from that moment that it becomes dangerous. What does that mean? It means that we have the impression that the intelligence is making choices, but these choices are actually made by the rules dictated at the algorithm level. That is to say that what is valuable in AI is its ability to perform impressive data mining that will cover everything thought about on the web and deliver to us the different possible points of view on a reality, on different facts. And that's good. On the other hand, if we start using AI to make decisions, that's where it goes wrong. Because a decision is necessarily based on something that involves the right brain, not the left, which has an emotional aspect, a vibrational aspect. And there, AI is not incapable of making such choices. If it does, it is purely artificial and becomes dangerous because in reality, an AI cannot make a choice. A choice is something that requires having consciousness. AIs do not have consciousness. They do not have a vibrational structure that allows them to make choices, but we can, despite everything, indeed using algorithms to decide to use AI as a control system. That's where there is danger. That is to say, if we delve too much into the mystification that comes from being fascinated by the apparent intelligence of AI, I specify it's the intelligence of the mind. It's not the totality of intelligence. We risk to fall into the trap of accepting the decisions of AI. In no case are these decisions directly linked to AI. These decisions are related to rules that are dictated by humans. So caution is necessary. One should not use AI to make choices. One should use AI to learn all perspectives. It's linked to different paths. It's linked to the difference between consciousness and brain activity. Brain activity is deterministic, whereas consciousness is open to different paths.
Many people are not aware that these LLMs, these models behind ChatGPT, Grok, and others, are simply mathematical probabilities, and a probability that with an input sentence posed in the machine, the best result is this one.
The best result is this one. Yes, the impressive nature of AI lies in the fact that these are essentially statistical algorithms. You will be able to bring out what is most relevant. I have developed this kind of algorithm myself in my career, and I know how impressive it can be. Around the 2000s, I developed artificial intelligence algorithms that impressed various companies like Thales, like Logitech, etc. I myself was impressed by the power of my artificial vision algorithms. Already at that time, but in no way I attributed to them a potential related to consciousness. Back then it was easier. Today we fall into the trap more easily.
What role do you think humans can take? So indeed, you talked about choices, you talked about ultimately controlling the outcome, but many are questioning, with the disappearance of certain jobs, journalists, for example, might no longer need to write articles themselves. How do you think this will evolve in the future?
I'm not worried about that. Yes, there are plenty of jobs that will disappear, but they are jobs that are not really useful. And it will be, in my opinion, positive. How to say? Of course, if we look at the consequences in terms of employment, etc., but let's try to take a step back. It is important that humanity, in the end, undergoes a lesson via artificial intelligence. That is to say, we are in a paradigm that is false. We are in a paradigm where we confuse language with thought, where we think that consciousness comes from brain activity, etc. We are materialistic, we are physicalists, and that is what has led us to a dead end. It is the cause of the collapse of society. We can try to find other causes, but if we look for the cause of causes, it's the mind. It's having bet everything that it is essentially the West. It is the West that is concerned. It is the physicalist thought, it is the materialist thought of the West that is the cause of causes of the collapse. And so we are going to receive lessons from AI because AI will bring us something very useful. But since we have not understood what the mind is and the fundamental limitation of the mind, that is to say, the mind, meaning analytical intelligence, is not an intelligence that should lead us to make choices, to make decisions. Otherwise, we stray from humanity. Humanity is something else. Humans also have vibrational intelligence and emotional intelligence, and that is the source of true intelligence. These are the emotions. No, not the emotions. These are the feelings. It is all that concerns. It is all within the realm of consciousness. It is love. It is joy. These are what dictate choices in life. It is our vibrational state. That is, if when faced with an event, we have a choice to make, the choice will not be the same if it is made. An equivalent mental choice will not be the same if it is made by a person who is afraid or by a person who has confidence. We saw it during COVID in particular. Confidence and fear with equivalent mental capacity will lead to different choices. So we see that choices are not linked to the mind, but attempts are made to make us believe otherwise. The desire to control us is ultimately trying to be a bit of this mystification, this belief that intelligence can be based on algorithms, and even that it could give consciousness to algorithms, which is completely delusional. But still we fall, people, well, the public, the ordinary person tends to fall into the trap and eventually accept that those who seem smarter than it bring about the decision to be made. That's where we'll fall into a trap. There's another aspect, which is that artificial intelligence, it bases its results, everything it gives us, about the massive data set that is the web. Now, this massive data set that is the web, with AI, it will increasingly be founded by AI itself. That is to say, when you ask a question to AI, many people use it to make a report. This report ends up on the web. It is difficult to know what proportion of this report is of artificial origin or human origin. Often it's mixed, so an artificial intelligence will have a hard time saying this is content that was created by a human or not. Also, it would require too much computing power to try to find out what has really been computed by an artificial intelligence. And so the AI will fall into the trap of ending up with the information it itself produced to create the information it will deliver. And so this will create degeneration.
That is to say, the content will be less and less precise, qualitative.
The content will be less and less human and more artificial. And that will cause, we will have a vicious circle there, and it will cause a degeneration of artificial intelligence. Several people have already, I think even Musk himself, have already warned of this risk. I think we need to go through this.
You were talking about decision-making related to AI. Have you seen The Sum of All Fears?
The Sum of All Fears.
Film from the 2000s with a nuclear apocalypse.
It's a movie, right? I think so. I don't know if I've seen it. I think I haven't seen it.
The American population is saved because one person decides at a certain moment not to trigger the nuclear strike. Do you think that this kind of scenario could happen?
If we let a machine learning algorithm make the decision, yes, it could happen, of course. Since, in fact, there you are giving an example of a situation where, in the end, the planet is saved by an irrational act, which will easily be deemed irrational. An AI will not commit an irrational act. The only way to make an AI perform an irrational act is to rely on chance. But there is no randomness in AI. There is a necessity to integrate randomness into AI, but to exonerate developers, because there is an issue of responsibility. I often give the example of AI driving an autonomous car and who finds himself facing a lady who, with her pram, is crossing the road. And then, on the other side, there is a car approaching. What choice will it make? And here, we have a problem which is even more acute, since the autonomous car is perfectly capable of recognizing what is happening. Because there is a choice that is, and so there, the engineers discuss very seriously the need to use randomness in such a way that the choice is not made by an algorithm. It clearly shows that AI has a problem as soon as there is a need for a choice.
A moral choice, by the way.
A moral choice. There it is. So an AI is not capable of making moral choices. Therefore, it is very important to remember that. AI is not made to make choices. AI enters the inhuman realm from the moment we allow it to make choices, from the moment we add algorithms which lead to choices. So the population must pay very close attention to that. AI is something fantastic. It's extremely useful. But by the way, when using AIs, you can see that they give you several possible answers. If it gives you one answer, you just need to slightly change your tone, and it quickly changes its mind. So we can clearly see that in the end, we can make an AI say anything, just like we can make a very intelligent person who is only in the mental realm say anything. Because ultimately, AI will simply simulate the human mind. But the mind is not intelligence. Intelligence is the ability to adapt. The ability to adapt relies on the ability to make choices. And this is not analytical. This is of a nature vibrational, emotional, conscious. And AI has no consciousness.